Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. Friday the 18th, Quad Witching Day. Could bring some surprises for us, but I'm actually kind of thinking probably not. Not to disappoint anybody, but probably not. Probably not. Go to the chart. Okay, so having quite a bit of volatility yesterday after the Federal Reserve meeting. Stocks just really extending overnight, and we had quite a bit of wild swings and everything. But eventually they kind of consolidated down, and we were seeing some really big hedging activity. So I believe that what may have happened is the options traders decided this is it and hedged themselves to book their profits, basically. Could be wrong. It's just a really speculative theory, but that's the only thing I can think of that really makes sense with the amount of volume that we saw. And you can see here in the overnight, not a whole lot has happened. Also, we don't have a lot of news today, so they don't really have a whole lot of reason to be putting on risk today. Okay, let's look at the rest of the complex. The treasuries saw extremes on both sides. So as the equities were really freaking out, the treasuries went up, and then later the treasuries went down, and that actually kind of caused a little bit of stress for the equities as well. Also note a little bit of flattening, which is not necessarily what we would have expected. It's not as dramatic over on the longer end of the curve, but it's actually relatively constrained still. Oil was up yesterday, and the Saudi energy minister was saying a lot of like really crazy stuff. Was like, "Hey, speculators, don't fuck with us." Was basically what he was saying, which is like, what? But I'm not really up on that kind of news. But you can see they got pushed up on those comments. Gold again, not really doing a whole lot. They did fall in the early morning action, but you can see that the volatility and interest in gold has really died down considerably. Copper up pretty big overnight. I think things over in Asia are still doing pretty well, so that's really good. Okay, copper is kind of a canary in the coal mine, sort of a how I look at it, and they're up. Now the other thing is that we are getting some dollar weakness again. So even though the dollar strengthened considerably after the FOMC meeting and everything, it's come back down since. So I don't know, a lot of volatility. I'm starting to think though that the larger global complex is telling us that things are fine, and that it's just that equities got overvalued. So if that's the case, I suppose the dollar could just go sideways. It's interesting though, because I mean, what happened with the Federal Reserve did seem kind of significant. So I don't know. Anyways, I don't have a lot of news today. I don't know if I'm really even going to take a trade, to be honest. I think we could do a couple of other things. We could do some programming. We could write our little guide. It kind of depends on what you guys want to do. I was wondering, I think I would really like to look at volatility on Quad Witching Day. Hold on a second. see if Pivot Trader has any information for us on that. Maybe we can modify one of our indicators to take in a list of dates, but I don't have a data source to tell me like dates, so that's kind of maybe what he'll be able to give us. Yeah, even the treasuries you can see here, not moving a whole lot since the regular session opened. So I do not see a market that is looking to move. Let's see here. Fed's Bostic. Wait for evidence of overheating before taking action. FX macro comments it will probably be too late by then. Atlanta's Fed Bostic comfortable above 2% inflation, but will look more at trajectory rather than level. Gotcha. Because if we're at like we were before the crisis, we're just kind of above, well then I don't think there's any reason to freak out about it. Let's see here. Oh, I don't have the Texas speech open here for you guys. Ace trades. So what is the quad witching that is witching today? So the quad witching is when all of the options and the futures and the options on futures expire at the same time. So what it means is that options and the gamma in particular is going to be really strong. So that often has a tendency to peg us and prevents the equities from really moving very much. Yeah, it is as boring as it sounds. Except for when it isn't. So, man, I can't remember. Was it last quad witching? I think it was last quad witching or the one before that, where it's like if all of the sudden there's news or something that really moves the indexes out, then they have to unload all of their gamma and it just becomes really, really ugly. But I think that these guys came into the futures yesterday and hedged themselves. I don't think it's actually going to move. I think we could have a really slow day. That's why I'm thinking we could probably do something else today. Thinking about some programming. So I wanted to have a video out today. Well, when I started going into it, I was like, wait a second. I started looking at more and I was like, no, there's more we need to do on this. So you guys want to see that? I'll show you. So here's the question. Here's the interesting. You'd be interested in this case. This deals directly with what you do, in fact. So I have some indicators here. Oops, not some indicators, some strategies. Moving average strategies. And here is just a regular moving average. This says that it's on price change, but it's on bar close. So when you backtest in NinjaTrader, it's basically always doing it based on the bar close, right? So I will come in and I will show you guys a backtest. I won't do an insane backtest. Bring this up over here. Just kind of make it small for us. Okay. So if we come over here to moving averages and we use our SMA strat on ES, and we'll include commissions, okay? Going back to the beginning of the year. Okay. So when we're using the bar close, going back to the beginning of the year at least, you actually get 0.93. I think if for this one, because it's the on bar close data, we can go back even further. Let's go back to 2016. Beginning of 2016. Okay. When you do it over 4 years worth of data, it becomes a little bit more clear. You lose a lot in commissions. And I mean a lot. And you lose a lot overall. This is just trading a simple moving average, right? Okay. New tab. Let's just keep it on 2016. We'll do 2 of these. Okay. So the problem with doing it on bar close, as we're doing it here, is you don't actually get the moving average price, right? I think you want to hit into the moving average itself. So, in order to do interbar, we kind of got to do a little trick in NinjaTrader. So here I've done that trick. I've added another data series in here, and I'm doing it on the second underneath. And then here I have a Boolean. So I sit down and I say, okay, at the beginning of my 1 minute bar, I'm going to set my trigger to false. It's not triggered. And then if we cross above our moving average and we haven't been triggered this time, or we're just ignoring the triggers, right? Then we enter our longs and we enter our shorts. So if I have this retrigger set to true, then it will just always trigger, right? Okay. So that's why I wanted to open up 2 of these. So if I come over here and I change this to SMA strat 2, and I'm going to make this one retrigger. And I'm going to make this one not. Okay. So let's run this one first. And it'll take a while because it's going to have to do 1 second data, right? This will take a little bit. Feds Bostic is talking a lot, so Anthony Grudelli says it's amazing how fast we can go from doing no wrong to doing all wrong. I just know when it's all working to keep trading, and when things are going wrong, to take a step back and regroup. Okay, I have a theory on this. Oh, that's interesting. Anthony Crudelli did a little stat, and he says what happens historically when entering long the E-mini on the open on options expiration day and covering on the close, and the longs have historically gotten run over on this day. I think that would be right. Like, it tends not to move, but if it does move and it moves down, it gets really ugly. I'm not so sure that's going to happen this time. Cameron Discord is pointing out that the VIX is quite a bit lower this morning, which would seem to support the thesis that they're not looking to move it a whole lot today. Okay, Bostic is done talking. He was on Bloomberg. This is going to take a while. This is definitely going to take a while. I don't even think it's downloaded all the data. We should check our memory here really quick. Ooh, boy, ninja. Ooh. Using 4 gigs, 5 gigs. That's too much. 78% of my memory. I don't know if it's gonna choke on that or what. That means that this could take like all day. So let's close this. So let's see if I close that tab, if it releases the memory. And let's change this one to just be the beginning of the year, huh? Because I know I ran it at the beginning of the year yesterday and didn't have any problems with it. No, that's not releasing the memory. If I close that entirely, of course not. So this is the issue I've run into with the NinjaTrader backtester many times. So we'll just restart NinjaTrader. I think that Shouldn't be too hard, too big of a deal doing that. Yeah, let's see, close down right away. There's still a memory leak with the trade analyzer. I think there's some things we can do here to fix that. We'll try it. Mm. No Apple Watch available today. Okay. And we're getting to level 2 again and everything. Okay, so I think we're good. So one of the things is that I think there's a property. Real-time error handling. Smart behavior. Oh, start behavior. Well, let's just run it first, and then we'll see if we can optimize it, okay? Okay. Moving average. SMA strat 2. Minute. Commission. Beginning of the year. E-mini. Run.
Mahdi El Mesaudi says he.
Hey, how are you? Welcome back. You've been on almost every day this week, haven't you? Okay. 0.86. So the other one we were getting 0.77. This one's 0.86. Now, what if we do the retrigger? So if you retrigger every bar, not quite as effective because of the commissions. It looks like. Mostly because of the commission. Wait, did we tell it to? Yeah, we included commissions. Okay. So the not retrigger is better. So now let's see if we can kind of find these properties that will help us save memory a little bit.
Mahdi El Mesaudi says, do you know when the gold market opens in US?
Well, I believe that there's like I don't think that they really have so much like an official open with gold.
Mahdi El Mesaudi says, is it Chicago or New York?
I think that they really start trading with the equities and everybody else. But the issue with a lot of metals in particular is that Chicago is not really the largest market for it. Does that make sense? So, it trades a lot during the London hours. So if I was looking at gold, I would be looking at the whole session, the whole extended session. Hmm. I swear there's a property to. Well, let's go and look at the documentation. Operations, strategy analyzer.
Mahdi El Mesaudi says, should we take a look at it together?
Well, so if I come over here and I look at, hold on, the gold. I mean, gold's been kind of interesting to me just because. Oh, sorry, that was copper. Gold hasn't really been going anywhere. You can see there's been a lot of volume around 1950, and they haven't really been able to pick up from there. And when I look at like overnight, mm, they bit up a little bit, but I think it's mostly just a recovery from that. Now they are moving a little bit here in the last little bit. You can see it over here. Let me zoom in. Might not be significant yet. I'm not seeing, well, so oil is kind of doing the same thing, but I'm not seeing like the overall currencies moving or anything, so I can't read too much into it. And again, I'm just not really expecting a whole lot today. I think that it's going to be really slow. I swear there was something. Okay, my default. I did there. Include include trade history and backtest property is set to false by default when a strategy is applied. This provides leaner memory usage at the expense of not being able to access trade objects for historical trades. Thus, fields such as all trades.count that rely on references to trade objects will not have such. If you would like to save these objects, I see. So that's if you're using that stuff in the code. That's interesting. So that would be like if you had a strategy that you wanted to, um, based on they'll do something based on how the last trade worked out. That's really interesting. Hushishin. Beijing has been low key on the issue of TikTok, but I believe the Chinese government is not an outsider, and no plan can include content that Beijing firmly opposes. Hope the final plan will be acceptable to all parties. Okay. So where were we? I'm wondering here if we changed the retrigger. Int trigger bar equals 0. Oops, not equals equals. Bars in progress. If bars in progress equals 0 and current bar is larger than trigger bar plus wait bars. Let's make a new property for it. Public bool wait bars. Plus wait bars. And let's set wait bars to be 5 by default. So we want retrigger off, right? Oh, jeez. This is the one that we did it on. Okay, I was like, what happened to it? Yeah, we want retrigger off. Oh, no, wait. It was retrigger on was the one that did better, wasn't it? .77. Ugh, this is where I hate it. You got to take pictures of everything. Fed to release detailed stress test results for each bank by year end. Now, Kashkari is talking now. How many of these guys are talking today? See, I didn't even them talking isn't even showing up on my. Okay, so that's right. Okay, so with the retrigger off, it makes more, takes less trades. So now I'm wondering, what if we do it over, we make it wait a couple of bars instead of just it can get in on the next bar. Okay, so first we got to compile our change. Oh, actually, I don't think we want to debug. That'll help a little bit. Wait, oh, did I make this a bool? Hey. Oops. Okay. Well, it looks like that pushed the treasuries down a bit.
Mahdi El Mesaudi says it's C#, right?
Yep, this is C#. Okay. So now that we got this, we can try and optimize it. We're going to do 30 iterations and hope that this doesn't crash. Oh, hey. Okay. Wait, what? Nah, what?
Mahdi El Mesaudi says, what are you executing right now?
My this is a strategy right here. I'm trying to make it a little bigger for you. So we're testing different ways of entering off of a moving average signal trigger. Not that I expect any of these to actually be profitable, but is this...
Mahdi El Mesaudi says no AIs included.
That can't be right. Why is it when I do that one, it only takes 3 trades and they're all winners? How is that possible? Wait, bars 1. So that should be the default, you know? Well, actually 0 should probably be the default one. I don't understand. Something's definitely wrong here, guys. Yeah. So why didn't it take very many trades? And current bars. Okay, maybe we need to do current bars of 0. Yeah, maybe that's it. So let's just come back and do a regular back test. Have this be 1. So Kashgari is explaining why he dissented. He wrote a letter that went out, and he's basically saying it was actually like more dovish. Kashgari wanted the Fed to vow to wait on rate hikes until core inflation is at 2% for roughly a year. That was why he dissented. What? Okay. Okay. So if I get rid of this, that's what it was before, right? Okay. And then it takes a bunch of trades. Let's come in here to the properties and just make sure that I have that. Use local data only. Okay. So all I'm doing is adding current bars of 0 is greater than trigger bar plus wait bars. And what does trigger bar get set to by default? 0. We're going to have to do this the hard way, aren't we? It's going to be something really dumb and embarrassing, like always. Goldman Sachs, we continue to see our central growth forecast as consistent with further strength in cyclical assets, including equities, and the more depreciation for the U.S. dollar. The ongoing tech-led U.S. equity sell-off has not changed that assessment. That seems to be in line with just what the market seems to be saying to us at the moment, that everything's okay. It's just that equities were overvalued. I don't know. Okay. So now I'm going to debug. How come that's grayed out? Wait, what? Why is that grayed out? Ooh. Oh, I already attached it. That's why. Okay. So bars in progress is 0. Current bars of 0 is 2. And trigger bar is 0 plus 1. So my trigger should hit. Yes. So let's go back to, let's continue until we hit this breakpoint. Okay. Bars of 0 is 2. So we get in on the second bar, huh? So on bar 4, it sets it to false. Okay. And then, are we still on bar 4? All right, we're on bar 5, I guess. I mean, it's getting in. I don't understand. Oh, that's weird. That time it worked? What the heck? We need 7. That's actually a little better, isn't it? I don't remember. But let's see if the optimization works now. Min 0, max 30, increment by 1, run. Saudi Prince Abdulaziz warns oil short sellers, we will never leave this market unattended. They are so concerned about people going short oil. I don't understand. I mean, doesn't that mean that they're going to have to reduce output significantly to accomplish that? I don't know. Okay. So when I wait a really long time. Oh, whoa. That's interesting. Of course it makes money when you go long. Oh, I know why. Okay. 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 Because what it's doing is it's forcing it to be in for 30 minutes. This is most interesting, isn't it? And all of the top results are, well, except for the 4. That makes a big difference. So if it doesn't just go, do we want it to just get out every time? What would happen if we did that?
Lobo Trader says good morning, slightly smiling face.
Good morning, Lobo Trader. Or a retrigger. Or I forget the property. I forget the name of the property. I think it's position market position
Anthony K says good morning, guys.
equals market position dot long. Okay. Hello, Anthony. How are you? We're okay. We're having a boring day, to be honest with you. Programming.
Anthony K says good, sir.
Cool. So for this to work, it would have to cross the moving average and not retest it at all. How often do you think that's gonna happen? Probably this is just gonna lose a lot of commissions, but do I have that on? Yes. Actually, I think what I did is not going to work at all. Let's let it run through. I was about to be like, okay, this isn't working. It's going to take a lot longer to backtest because it's basically checking way more often. This thing is going to lose a ton in commissions. Bet you didn't know that just a simple moving average strategy can get so complicated. This is where I really don't feel that the way we look at, technical strategies as retail traders is just not sophisticated enough. So everything is basically based on a bar close. It's really hard to get good price if you're waiting for the bar close. So how do you take it, without waiting for the bar close? Well, you get the nonsense we're doing right now.
Sunday Driver says Apple finally discovered widgets.
One of the things that I thought was funny was when they were going through all of the different skins that you can put on the watch. They're like, we added this skin and we added this skin. And I'm like, you don't have a store where you can download any skin you want? What? So dumb. Well, did Ninja Trader freeze and run out of memory?
Gary Rich
It
says
did.
with Brexit, trade
It
wars,
did.
vaccine, stimulus and election, let's see if October VIX goes slight backwardated to November VIX. October VIX expires in 32 days.
Yeah, I don't think that the market's going to be too interesting today, but once we get things going again next week, yeah, I'm interested in exactly that. Because I think that the November VIX options should be worth more than they are.
Sunday Driver says iPhone is now equivalent to Android 2010.
Is it? Oh, well. I have to say the whole valuations on there's some problems. Let's see. I need to think of a better trigger. What if we were to say, oh, this could get interesting. Hold on. First we got to kill Ninja Trader, I think. Oh no, wait. It's releasing some memory. Is it going to go? If we waited long enough, it would do it, but what we did there really jacked it up. Okay. Close Visual Studio 2.
Gary Rich says it's not if options are worth more or less. It's about ATM implied vols pricing and expected moves.
Sunday Driver says had to cancel my camera order. Backorder Hellfire. Now leaning towards Sony A6400.
No, those full frame ones are the way you want to go. I would, one thing is I would kind of wonder how badly you really want a new camera right now. Because I'm going to bet that the next generation of cameras, they will have application. They will be much better suited to the live streaming application. Like Canon and them are just figuring it out, and I'm gonna bet that next generation they'll have a camera that's like, you can stream it through USB 3. It's fast, and it gets powered through the USB 3 as well, and maybe even comes in a better form factor for a live stream setup. So, okay. So first of all, get rid of that because that was a disaster. But I'm wondering now.
Sunday Driver says I agree. How long before that is available?
Who know? I mean, it might be a year. Might be a year, might be 2 years. So, I mean, it's super speculative too, right? So we had it like this, where once it triggers, it's not allowed to trigger until the next bar. Okay. But I'm wondering, let's make a new chart here. New chart. 1 minute. Looks like they're actually moving now. I guess they have moved a decent amount in the E-mini since we've been jacking around here. We'll see what they do. Okay. Anyways, over here, I was gonna say let's add like an SMA 10, and then let's add another one. But this one instead, Can you do a 0? Yeah, okay, you have to do 1. This one, let's make the plot first. The plot should be a hash. Apply. Let me get really in here. Okay, and it draws the hash at the close. Yes. Correct. We also should make it like a color that really stands out, so like magenta. Okay. Well, there's a decent amount of volume trading there. And then maybe they're gonna do something. So what if we were to say typical? Am I allowed to do it on, let's see here, on price change? Yeah, okay. Ooh, there's probably a couple of problems here, huh? How is it getting... Huh. I think there's still some problems with my code here because it's probably not calculating the moving average on the fly there. Okay, well, I also wanted to see, so there's typical, there's weighted. I think weighted might be better. There's median is the middle of the bar. I don't know if that one would be very good. Okay, so let's say typical or weighted. So I think here, one thing I have to do is my moving average dot calculate equals calculate dot on price change, I think. And then here we can say typical. What if typical moves? Then it's in, and it has to stay in at least until the next bar. Okay. Do it not have a strategy analyzer anymore? Yeah, I didn't open a new one since we restarted, huh? Yeah, so they got a pretty good swing down there on the open. There are actually a good number of contracts too. So maybe we actually will see some action. Although overall it's still kind of just in the margins and yeah. Okay, well, anyways. I'm going to continue to ignore it for now. That's what I put in weight bars doesn't matter right now, huh? Okay. Food Commission. Yes. Okay. Hmm. Weird.
Sunday driver says new G4 virus in China. High pandemic potential.
Oh, those Chinese. 0.85. Okay. Well, they're looking bearish so far. Look at that. That's a pretty good move down so far. Let's see here where we get to. Okay, so they kind of they've taken my first spot. Next spot would be at 42. That's also 0.85. So not much difference at all. Oh wow. That only changed like one trade, in fact. That's interesting. As opposed to, I guess I never tested it with the change that we made over here to even see if that worked. But Boom, 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 boom. .86. And if I get rid of this, does that change anything? Is that actually working?
Sunday driver says new swine flu. More virulent and infectious than type A pig farmers in China getting sick. Spreads through humans and animals. Ferrets are very sick.
Cool story, bro. I wouldn't get too excited every time that they find a new virus. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a big deal. It didn't change anything. I don't think that changing that property works. I don't know how to get rid of this little, you see up in the upper left corner? I think Visual Studio left that behind.
Uzi Knesset says China will find new viruses every 5 minutes now that they know the wheat will collapse itself in response.
So here's a thought. What if we go back to our other SMA strat? SMA strat. But instead of running it on minute data, we run it on second data. And instead of a 10 period SMA, we do a, let's see here, 10 times 60. So
Sunday driver says this new virus microbe could be a doozy.
$600, yeah, 60 times 10. So that would be the equivalent of a 10-minute moving average, but it's being done on the second, right? Include commission. So that one not including commission? Oh, it was. I don't know why that disappeared. I guess when I changed it, it got rid of that check. Okay. Okay, so they're trying to dig it out here. Actually, wouldn't be opposed to a long. So this should take a while. Hopefully doing it on second data doesn't destroy us on memory. It looks like we're doing okay at the moment. Well,
Gary Rich says that's how we got H1N1. It used to be called swine flu, first case 2009. People seem to forget.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that everyone will become the swine flu. I don't like here's the thing. If I were to get excited, maybe excited is not the right word. If I was to get worried or concerned about every time that a new virus is reported in China, I would die from the stress. Like it's going to be like every day. There's always stuff coming out okay, that worked. That worked really well. So for comparison's sake, we'll take a picture of that. Going back to 1 minute.
Gary Rich says it came from people close to animals, hogs. It came from Mexico.
Okay, so now I actually see it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So maybe that's the best way for me to test it, is to just do it on a second chart. I don't know. You get a lot more trades when you do it on a seconds chart.
Let's not make this personal says you have to know what a virus's R value is to even remotely concern yourself.
Yeah. All right. If you guys have any other ideas you want to try on that moving average thing, we can try them. But are they gonna go down again? I think I.
Let's not make this personal says Ninja Trader is over 1K. Too rich for my blood ATM.
So, that doesn't. I don't
Sunday
get
Driver
that.
says it's weird that people are getting sick from this new virus and their pet ferrets are dying.
Like, I understand that $1,000 is a lot of money, but like, it's $1,000 is, you could blow that in a day trading futures, if you're not careful. Nope. They want to go more. Okay, well, so this is already outperforming my expectations about ranges and so forth, so look at that. Pelosi wants to take $30 billion away from our grape farmers. Can't let that happen. Well, Donald Trump tweets. This is just selling crazy.
Let's not make this personal says it will just have to wait till I LLC so I can write it off.
There you go. But I guess the way that I look at it is, if you're really serious about it, then the amount that it costs doesn't really matter. What really matters is that the platform gives you what you want. Right? So for me, the ability to program in C# and backtest things.
Let's not make this
It's
personal
worth
says ROI.
$1,000. It's worth $1,000. And really, when you look at what the software can do and everything, it's reasonably priced. So a lot of people seem to be implying, when I read that, it seems like people are implying that it's overpriced, but it's not. It's definitely not. I dare say that Jigsaw is underpriced, frankly. But I guess Jigsaw, you have to pay $50 every month to use it. So
Let's not make this personal says just sticker shock.
yeah, there you go. Sticker shock. That was a good way of explaining it. So you can see the little bit of volume there at 3388.50.
305,790 says I agree Seth Bookmap lifetime license is 2K and only up to their next version.
What? Are you for real? And you have to pay to get the market by order data? That is, oh my gosh. And I really don't think that Bookmap gives you that big of an advantage. That is a little that sounds a little overpriced to me. Oh man.
305,790 says yeah global plus.
Okay. So they did a little bit.
305,790 says seriously.
They did a little bit of volume and then pushed lower. You see
Uzi
that?
Knesset says I found NT to be well worth the price.
I agree. Now the issue with NT is that they started their own brokerage and started moving out, making it so that it's a little bit of a pain to not use their brokerage. So that's the problem there.
Uzi Knesset says yeah lol.
Yeah. And then the jigsaw charts are okay. But the problem on that one is that you can't program them right now. And I'm not so sure that you ever will be able to, if I'm honest.
Gary Rich says gentlemen you are going to have to pay up. Being cheap is not
Yeah.
wise.
The question, though, is are you paying up? Or are you really getting something out of it? I am not so sure that paying an extra $1,000 for Bookmap that I'm really getting $1,000 worth of value out of it. But, well, that fell apart very, very quickly, didn't it?
Gary Rich says think of it as an investment in yourself.
By the way, why am I? Oh, I am getting some clicks. Like, why am I not hearing the clicks?
Uzi Knesset says Bookmap really has a flexibility advantage over Jigsaw. I'd imagine performance advantage too. Will it help you trade better? Nah, nothing will. Lol. Troubleshooters says may the force be with you fire. 305,790 says I agree but $2,000 for Bookmap which is somewhat limited seems a little overvalued. Uzi Knesset says but in so much, I get why they charge as much as they do and only for what? 2 upgrades?
Yeah, now that's the one that bothers me. Is that I buy software and I don't get future upgrades. Especially if I'm trading if I'm paying them a monthly fee. That's no. It makes sense for things like Photoshop or I tell you what, if I'm getting a new version, they better be giving me really significant features, and I kind of question how many more significant features Bookmap can come up with. You know what I mean?
Uzi Knesset says Jigsaw is simple and kinda clunky at times but honestly, it works fine. As long as I've been trading, last thing I need, relative to BM, is more shit to look at.
I'm always looking for more shit to look at. Nah, I mean the thing is
Troubleshooters says can you explain in the shortest way possible with an example, what it is you do?
no, I can't. So it's complicated. So here's the thing that I'm going to tell you.
Gary Rich says 2,000 expensed over 12 months. 166 per month. 166 20th trading days equals $8.30 per day.
Okay, but so that's like 6 ticks. Do you think that Bookmap gives you 6 ticks more per day? I don't think it does. Here's what I'll tell you, troubleshooters. What I'm doing is really complicated. And if you want to be successful at trading, one of the things that I would consider is embracing the complexity of it. Because we want to have something simple. Now, don't get me wrong. There's advantages to simple, right? Because one of the issues that you're going to have is just executing. If you have something that's too complicated for you to really execute properly, then that's a problem in and of itself, because you could have a really great strategy, but if you can't execute it, then it's worthless, right? But if your analysis isn't nuanced enough, then what you get is you're just wrong, right? So I'm incorporating a lot of different things here. I'm looking at the order flow. I'm looking at what prices they're trading and where the volume is going and where icebergs are and which prices pull away. I'm kind of I'm kind of trying to keep track of where people's positions are to estimate where they will potentially stop out at or can go to. And I'm paying a lot of attention to the news, breaking news, the overall global macro outlook. I'm looking at a lot of different instruments to make sure that I have a good idea of where the money is moving and why it's moving there. But I would say I rely on the news first. So if you were looking for, okay, what is this edge that I could pick out of this? That I can learn from this guy, then the thing that I would say to you is the majority of retail traders neglect news, and it's really important. Okay. But then the overall thing is I can't necessarily explain simply everything that I do, because, it would take me 10 days. Go watch every video, and then you would see all of the different things that we've looked at and have tried to incorporate, Right now, I don't know. I kind of think this is a crapshoot. I was not expecting them to come down so much, and with the way that they did it and everything, and the way that it's doing it, kind of just slipping there, tells me that there's a really, really good probability that they come all the way back up to 33.53, and that's why I took the trade that I did. That's all. So let's see if they dig it out immediately or not. I mean, it's looking pretty bullish at the moment, but okay.
Let's not make this personal says, can you define iceberg?
Okay, so an iceberg, the proper term for it is called a refreshing order. And what a refreshing order is it's a feature of the exchange that if you pay enough, you can use. And what it allows you to do is to place an order in a limit order in which the whole order isn't shown. So you could say, I want to buy 1,000 contracts of the E-mini, but only show 20 at a time. And I'll put it at a certain price. It will only show 20. If those 20 get executed, it will immediately bid 20 more. And it will bid that 20 more before you even see the change in the level 2. So the way that we detect icebergs is we can see volume selling into that price, but the level 2 doesn't change. We know that the level 2 doesn't change even though it got hit, because the exchange auto refreshed it. Versus a synthetic iceberg where they'll get hit and then it will bid more. You'll see the level 2 change and get added back on. Right? So that's an iceberg. So when I'm looking here on my DOM and I start seeing in the middle columns like 1,000 sprints, then I call that an iceberg. Make sense? But why is it significant? What it means is that more shares are being traded at that location than you would initially expect just from reading the level 2. That's what it means. And it makes it harder to go through that price. Though in the E-mini, that doesn't necessarily matter because they can sweep through prices pretty easily anyways. That's an iceberg. Turn you guys back on.
Let's not make this personal, says I got you, like my hidden from market order on stocks. Troubleshooters says thank you so much. One last question. Why not
Okay,
option buying?
that's a good
Profit to cap
question.
ratio seems much better than futures trading. Gary
Good
Rich
grief,
says
Gary.
iceberg orders are awesome. It did a great job for the Titanic. Uzi Knesset says at Gary Rich haha.
Okay, why not option buying? So the biggest problem that I have with options is that options are extremely illiquid. So when you look over here, the instrument that I'm trading, there's usually at least 30 to 50 lots sitting on the limit at every price, right? So, if I want to get executed and I hit market buy, um, chances are I'm going to get within a tick or two of where I see it at the exact moment that I click on it there. In options, they'll just pull, man. And there's only like one or two contracts at every price. So if I hit market buy in an option, I could get like, good 10 cents higher than I expected. And that's a lot. So the liquidity is a really big issue in the options. And so that means some of the things that you see me do, like, holding a tight stop, and, you can't necessarily do in options because you get too much slippage. So that's where I would put it. And with futures, you still get really, really good leverage, right? So I think, especially if you're doing what I'm doing, which is trading the index, because that gives me better opportunity to take advantage of breaking news, right? I really think that the futures offers a better setup. Where I would use options is kind of more longer term trades, like trying to hedge my portfolio would be a really, really good thing. So one of the things I've been doing with my back testing was I was just going on a daily basis and I was saying, okay, what about this 50-day moving average? People talk about that a lot. Is there actually some edge in that? And I looked through it, and actually there is. Believe it or not, it actually is. If you hit the 50-day moving average, if you get out, don't necessarily sell, but if you get out at the 50-day moving average and you get in when it crosses back above it, you make more money than if you just buy and hold over the past 10 years, right? But you don't necessarily want to go short. And if you have a huge portfolio, that's a problem too, right? So what can you do instead? Buy puts, right? Of course, the puts will probably be really expensive, but or maybe I know that there's a big event coming up and I think I have a really good idea about how that event is going to play out. And so I want to do a speculative play and I don't want to risk a whole lot. Then I can do an option call. And if it doesn't work out, then I just lose it. And if it does work out, I like triple my money or whatever it is, right? That's where options are advantageous. But for taking like really short day trades, like basically scalping, I really think that futures offer you your best situation. The next closest thing would be like buying SPY, but I really don't think that the tools and the setup that you get trading stocks is really as good. Now, the downside in the futures is that you pay for it, right? Because there's really big advantages to trading futures. You have to pay at least, well, for me, it's about a tick worth of commission. And then, like everybody was saying, complaining about, that you have to pay for the platform, and the platform isn't exactly cheap, right? So, yeah, that's most. I have a video on my channel about why you should trade futures. Go into it a little bit more. There's tax advantages and things like that, but really commenting. They were talking about it on the day trading subreddit, and I was hoping, like, oh, maybe we'll finally get some of these guys to go into futures, but I'm not going to keep my fingers crossed. Okay, this is working pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this thing. Let me just move things up here. You think it could retrace this whole thing? Well, 33, 67, 46, 46. Yeah, 33, 46 and 3/4 is like average true range spot. So if we cross that, some things could change. Because basically that means that we've had a pullback that is more than the average true range. Might be why they've slowed down just a little bit.
Jer Torres says, hey Seth, what do you think about Wyckoff as a baseline for trading futures like NASDAQ?
So first of all, Jared, new name. So welcome to the stream. I appreciate it. I don't know Wyckoff very well. Like, I haven't read the book. I've read a lot about this strategy, kind of like people trying to explain it, but I don't think I can say that I know enough about it to really say how it works or not. I will say one of the things is that they kind of got this thing where, like you're in a range and they'll break out of the range and then they'll actually eventually end up going the other way is totally a thing. Whether or not you can predict that that's really what it's doing at the time is a completely different thing. But what I would say to that is that the piece of information, the piece of data that I'm relying on primarily are things that you cannot see from the exchange. All right. When I mean things that you cannot see from the exchange, I mean, like, I'm talking exchange data, price, volume, et cetera, right? The things that I really want to look at and consider first are the things that are happening off the exchange. Global news flow, global money flows, breaking news, overall sentiment. Overall sentiment, I kind of have to guesstimate and predict, because when you look at like sentiment surveys and things like that, those are always lagging. So, so from that perspective, anything that is technical in nature is going to be, way down the list. Doesn't mean that it can't be incorporated, but it's way down the list for me. And if I am going to look at something technical, I'm always going to be more interested in something that's based on the order flow, which means looking at the level 2 and the volume and where it's traded and trying to calculate out where people's positions are. Right. So the technical edge that I'm relying on primarily is a secret, because technical edges will get arbitraged out if everybody knows about them, is primarily based on looking at all of the orders and then running a simulation to determine where people's positions are at. Okay. Let's hear what's Gary saying.
Gary Rich says, as a primary option seller, I'm not retarded selling 5 to 10% OTM, that's suicide. I take advantage of time decay. Time is on my side. If I buy, time is against me.
Nah, so if I'm doing a play like that, tell me if I'm wrong, Gary. But if I really, like, let's just say, for instance, this is like a really terrible example, but let's say that I think I know what's going to happen on battery day for Tesla. Okay. I think it's going to be really bad and everybody's going to be disappointed and the stock's going to sell down. That's like a really crazy opinion. Like, that's definitely not the consensus opinion, but let's just say that that's what I think, okay? Then probably what I would do is I would look at the puts and I would try to put together a spread that really reduces or rather maximizes my risk to reward. So I want to have a situation where I'm making like, 2, 3, or more times my money if I'm right compared to if I'm wrong. So instead of buying something that's really far out of the money and all of that, because I'm really not. I mean, those are just extremely unlikely to work, right? I would rather buy, the option that is right at the money and then sell one that's, a little bit down, but still close enough that, it reduces the cost of the trade so that I can get a good risk reward ratio. And when you're playing a thing like that, and that's where, kind of what I was getting at earlier with the options, trading options is really a different game, right? Because what you're trying to do with options is you're looking at a wide array of assets that are all related, right? Because there's puts and calls and there's different strike prices. And you're trying to find a pricing inefficiency in that. And that's what you're doing in options. Whereas what I'm trying to do here in futures is just look at the whole complex and look at the most heavily traded thing and looking for a mispricing in that based on the news and everything. Right? Otherwise, as Gary said, selling options is a good way to make money if you have a big account and you can hedge yourself appropriately. Oh my gosh. So did you hear about this one, Gary? There was a guy and he was doing an option credit spread. I think that's what they call them. So what was a spread? Like I was talking about. And what happened was after the market closed, there was a limit move. And his one option got executed and he was selling the options. So his option got executed. And then the broker, instead of giving him the chance to execute he got exercised. So then instead of giving him the chance to exercise his other option, they just sold the stock. And so it was a trade that had it was only supposed to be like $50 in risk and he lost like 30,000. And I was like, well, that's why I would be really careful about selling options if you don't actually own the stock. So to do those kinds of strategies, I think you need a little bit of a payroll. That's kind of why for beginning traders, I really like futures because you can do this with a very, very small amount of money.
Smiley Cats says I have $50 to invest this morning. What should I do with it?
Nothing. I would just keep it. I don't know if today is really like a good speculative day, to be honest. Okay.
Plan B4 Trade says at Smiley Cats you mean you have $50 to speculate with. Or if you prefer you have $50 you like to offer as liquidity, slightly smiling face.
Right. He's right.
Plan B4 Trade says at Gary Rich plenty of PPL got taken to the cleaners this summer for taking your approach. They held some tech stock and thought let me sell some calls 5 to 10% OTM, price can't go there. Plan B4 Trade says it works until it does not.
Although I think a lot of those guys, again, they probably weren't properly hedging themselves. They didn't quite have a sophisticated enough approach, right? Wow, when it goes up, it goes up. Could be wrong, but you're right in that if you're selling options, by its very nature, it's something that you don't make a whole lot from, but you have a really high probability of winning. And when you do lose, you lose big. But if you're doing it correctly and you really have an edge, those losses will still be less than what you made. Yeah.
Gary Rich says that happens. People forget post-market can move the underline and exercise you. You are trapped until the next day.
Yes. So the point there was that if you have a complicated options trade on and you're selling options, you are not truly hedged unless you own the stock, right? Like you can do these vertical spreads and you can buy the one and sell the one, but if it's not during market hours, then you're not really truly hedged unless you own the stock. That's why the big institutions they've been buying, like this whole gamma thing. They bought the stock to hedge themselves. President Trump is banning downloads of the apps TikTok and WeChat beginning Sunday, reports Forbes. Alert. Overwhelming majority of businesses have adjusted to coronavirus, confident 100% of GDP can be produced safely. Well, okay. Oh, my squawk kind of died there. Okay, so we're covering that pretty well. Yeah, not quite. Interestingly enough, I still see the 53 hasn't moved. Kind of wondering though, is it worth it to go for that? Okay, well, it looks like it's gonna break them there. Oop, almost. Come on, you can do it. There you go. Oh no, wait, it's 49, right? 40, yeah. I have to touch 49. Past 49, they didn't touch it. There we go. I don't know. One thing I was thinking about the other day, if you'll recall, earlier in the week on Wednesday, I was gambling a little bit on FOMC day, and I was very certain that it was a long, and so
Plan
I
B4 Trade says, by the
hung
way,
on.
people press that thumbs up icon for our host.
Oh, thank you so much, Plan B. I always forget to do that, and you guys remind people, and it's so great. Anyways, I was gambling on it, and that was a really stressful trade, and it was stressful trading, but I came out on top, and I'm really happy about it.
Gary Rich says, yes, you are right, Seth. I take less for more time. I let the news come out and look for overreactions to the news.
Yeah.
Come behind and sell it to them.
Yes. Anyways, it was super stressful, but then the thing is that at the end of the day, I'm out of my position, and I'll pick up my baby, and I can just relax, you know? And if I'm doing options and holding like really leveraged positions overnight, like, ugh, I want to be able to relax when I'm not trading. You know what I mean?
Troubleshooters says, nah, I disagree with that plan B. I could buy something and then make adjustments to that trade based on the need of the hour. Never just buy based on what you hear.
Noticing a couple of people loading on here.
Let's not make this personal, says, when you didn't mean to take 3 contracts, laughing face.
Yeah, when I didn't mean to take, that's exactly it. Oh man, I just thinking about it I just feel so dumb. Like, here's the thing is lately, I feel like I have a pretty good edge. It seems that my trades tend to be like, and I look at my stats and everything, things are working out correctly the way that they should. But I keep making mistakes.
Says, more uncomfortable trades. Makes for good video.
Makes for good video. I keep making mistakes, and somehow it still works out for me. I feel like that's been happening a lot. So did you see that there was a couple of people that were putting trades on there for it to go up to the 53, and um, they took them off because that was when I got on the queue. It was like 190. Now it's 132. So it looks like at least a temporary change there. Oy. Oh, we're gonna do this now, huh? Well, I don't know. I hate this game. I think that I will just go where he was getting out and exit. It sucks that they came back that much, but still made like $40. Do more uncomfortable trades. I mean, if I had more money, maybe I would. But I mean, that's just the problem with it, is that the trading strategy is really um, built around being able to really, really minimize your risk, right? Like that 20 tick loser that I took earlier, that shouldn't have happened. Two 20 tick losers. They're on different accounts, but
Let's not make this personal, says on Wednesday I lost 9K. Second worst day I have had.
Really? How did that? Did you go long and then get stuck in the sell? I tell you, that move was really something else, huh? So let's see if they go back. I actually think that they're still going to touch 53, but it's just that when I start to see that action like we had yesterday, I really don't want to mess with that. That was a real mess yesterday, and if they're starting to do that again, I don't want to be involved in it. I wish that I had gotten out up here, though. I was so close.
Gary Rich says I can sell options, if or when it goes against me. I have the option to trade the underlying to grab some of it back. Options are just derivatives. I know exactly what to do before I ever put it on.
Okay.
Let's not make this personal, says oh yeah.
It was a confusing trade because, I mean, it made sense to me as it was happening, but I'm sure, especially if you're not a really strong interest rate policy watcher, it would be really, really confusing, right? But I think the key tell to me on that one was that the bonds initially sold. The bond in particular initially sold. So that said to me that there was some people that were really upset, I guess, that it didn't sound like they were going to buy more treasuries.
Let's not make this personal, says I figured I could hold the shock dip, but it turned into a healthy downturn.
Oh yeah, it completely turned around and then really crazy downside. Yeah. So the thing is like, knew that there was already some people disappointed, even though it went up. And I was like, well, this is why they're moving up. And then when he was talking and everything, and really when he was talking about oh, what was it? Had something to do with like, oh yeah, he was saying that, like the risk is still deflationary. Remember that? And that's when they kind of started to turn. And I just kind of knew then. Now the thing that was really surprising was that then the bonds bought back up. But yeah. Plus the other thing is that stuff happens on FOMC all the time. That's why it's like, I don't know. Yeah, this pullback right here. This pullback is not really that significant. It was the nonsense that we were getting in here that scared me. Otherwise, I probably would have held it on the expectation that they're going to go back up. Because I personally don't see a reason for them to sell. It looks to me like they went and washed out the overnight positions. So now they should come back to balance and bounce up to buyer's cost basis, which is at 53. So let's see if they get there. Also, I should have moved my stop up a little bit more aggressively there. I'm thinking next time if I'm getting really close to my spot, I should.
Troubleshooter says, what's the largest profit and loss you've made in a single day?
Ooh, 500. So if you look back on my channel on like May of 2018 or 2017, I don't remember which one it was. There was a day when they, or maybe it was 26. I don't think I was. I think I started streaming in May of 2016. So it must have been 2017. Yeah. Anyways. Oh no, actually, was it even live? Maybe it was 2018. I don't know. It was an FOMC in May. And I decided to trade it after the interest rate change. And it was some trade. I remember it like that. The DOM on that move is like burned into my memory. I'm watching the 10-year treasury, and say the 10-year treasury is like this, but like maybe thousands. Okay. We come down, and all of a sudden, just above us, somebody stacks on like 10K. And I'm like, okay. And I sold. I didn't even think about it. I just clicked sell, and they went down. I made $500 on the one contract from the 10-year. And I could have held it, and it went like almost twice as far. But then I kind of like tried scalping it, and I lost a lot of it. And then after that, I don't know if it messed with my head or if the market overall just changed or what. But like after that, I had the worst summer. It was like for months. I had to move over to Sim, and I would lost big every day, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. It was just all of a sudden I was trading so poorly when I had been doing so well before. Man, but that was probably my favorite trade. I've made other ones that were larger than that on Sim, but on a live trade, I think 500 was the most. I've also lost 500 in a day on the live trade too. So I'm not a high roller. Some more Federal Reserve people talking. By the way, that move up was pretty good, but then they came down and they made a slightly lower low. So now, if I was still in, I'd be even more nervous. Now, on the split side of that, though, we started to see that like crazy hedging action. It only happened for like a
Uzi Knesset says, I remember my sign to take a break when the pandemic started. Lost $600 in 10 seconds, haha.
Yeah. Well, remember, I'm still so mad about the pandemic, man.
Sunday Driver says 500,000. Pretty good.
Troubleshooter says, I could only imagine how it must feel for Buffet when his portfolio dropped by 30 plus billion.
Yeah. Well, I really wonder what it's... so many people lately have been saying, oh, Buffett lost his edge. I want to know what's going through his head when people say that. So this is something that I think about a lot. I was reading somebody was talking about, it was like on, I don't remember which forum it was, but they they were talking about narcissists, and they were saying that, one of the problems with narcissism and so forth is that they don't really have self-introspection. And that's what makes them like almost impossible to treat. And I think I'm fairly introspective. In fact, sometimes I think I'm like way too introspective. You know what I mean? So I'm having this conversation with somebody the other day, and it was about something Donald Trump said. So the thing that Donald Trump said was he was talking about the fires, and he was saying that like it becomes so dry that it explodes. It can explode, is what he said. And when I watched that, later on, he actually talks about how he was discussing it with somebody from another country, and they were saying that the trees that they have there were more explosive meaning fire, than the stuff in California. So basically, they have a measure of how flammable the wood is in an area, and they call it explosiveness, I guess. And so that's why he was using that phrasing. And so when I watch it, I'm like, oh, it makes perfect sense. I don't see anything wrong with what he said. And somebody else was coming in like, oh, it just makes it more perfect that you're trying to defend him. And they're like trying to make me feel silly for looking at what was actually said and having a correct interpretation of what was said. And so I'm sitting here like, okay, am I really crazy? And I'll only think this because I have a tendency to support him. But then you got to think back, and it's like, well, no, because one, it's pretty clear what he said. Two, I'm not a narcissist. I'm not like, I can kind of look at my own self, and I really don't like it when people are trying to get you to question your own sanity. It's like, no, like what I do, I trade, and I read and interpret news as one of my primary edges, and at least as of late, I've been pretty good at it. So, no, I think you're wrong. I think you're just gaslighting me. And it just makes me so mad, But those are the sorts of things that are always going through. And, other times like when you get criticized and stuff like that, it's like, okay, so like, is it legitimate criticism, or do I need to just like ignore this person? Because it's so weird how confident people say some of these things. Man, there was another guy. He was like, I guess he just decided that he didn't like me because I beat him in an argument on a trading group. And so he found my channel, and he just started saying all sorts of trash about my channel. And like none of it was true. It was like, you must not really watch the channel because you're saying all sorts of crazy things that aren't true. But how can he say it like so confidently? I don't understand. Is he crazy? Because I constantly feel like I'm talking to a bunch of crazy people, especially when I go on the Facebook groups. Because here, like, I'm just telling you, like I was saying to you earlier, troubleshooters, the thing that I look at the most is news and like fundamental context. What is the fundamental context today? We just had a really big, ugly rout. Today is quad witching day. And we had some really crazy hedging volume yesterday. Okay. And then on the open, they decided to sell it. But there's no news that's causing it to sell. It's just a continuation, I guess, of the negative sentiment from yesterday. But because we are quad witching day, I'm not expecting it to actually move a whole lot. So that's how I was able to take a reversal trade. And I just, I took the first trade was a sim trade because I wasn't sure. So I kind of tested the waters a little bit. And once I felt like I had gotten a hang of it, then I took it in and I was able to get a runner. And I guess I was even able to tell that, hey, they weren't quite making it to where they're supposed to. So I should get out. Looks like I did that one right. And that's how that's the basis of the trade. That was that trade. It's always different, right? But that was that trade. And I've been doing really well with that lately. In fact, I think I've made now almost $300 just this week, trading one contract. Okay. Then I go on the Facebook groups and they all say, don't pay attention to the news. The news, it will just screw you up. Just look at the chart. All you need is a bar chart and just watch the bar chart. And that's it. And that's how you trade. And I'm like, how do you trade that way? These people really making money. They claim to be making money. I don't think that they actually are. Like, I really don't. I think that, like, maybe they were profitable this week, and so they think that they've turned the corner, and they don't realize how long it takes to really, like, say that you've been doing well. You know, like, I've been doing well since, May. And the thing that I changed back then that really made it start doing well was I started focusing more on news and fundamentals. And all these guys, they want to, and it's like, am I crazy? Am I crazy? Because I'm the only person out there saying this. But I know I'm doing okay with it. Didn't get it. So then you look at Warren Buffett, man. It's got to be like that, but like times 1,000, right? He's been trading this thing, well, I guess investing, the way that he does for decades. And he has done really well at it. He is the most successful investor of all time. And then we have this one move that goes up that apparently was driven by options and was really excessive. And everybody says that he lost his edge. You gotta wonder what Warren Buffett is thinking about that. Does he think, well, I don't care what anybody thinks and I know that I'm not crazy? Or does he question it too? Does he think, well, maybe I'm getting too old for this. Maybe there's things that I just don't understand anymore. You know what I mean? Because like, really, the trading community is gaslighting Warren Buffett right now. Oh, it's
Uzi
right.
Knesset says that's the guru pressure. Lose once and you're a failure.
So true.
Lol.
I don't think I will ever call myself a guru. You know, there's a certain point at which you have a long enough profitable record that people can call you that. But I really don't think that one should ever adopt that label for themselves, because it's just like that. Like, it just adds pressure. It really is like, let's see here. There's a couple more back here. Let me pull these.
Gary Rich says being scared in the MKTS is natural. Fear not to participate is something one has to work on. Scalping is hard. Learn to scalp fast in and out, and cut losses fast. Practice
Yes.
and drill at it.
Well, that's what I've been trying to do.
Plan before
It's been
trade
working.
says, does the elephant care about the opinion of the mites? Vlad Stolyarov says AAPL test 109 if cracks bad. Vlad Stolyarov says, yeah, if there's news 40 million of shares of AAPL will get sold in 2 days, they most likely will not help their trend lines.
Sure. So I have a comment about that might sing, but let's read these other ones first.
Plan before trade says, the fundamentals, personally I think they do not matter.
Right.
And come to Seth room to make such statements. The nerve. Will run away and hide under a rock.
Well, so just to be clear for those of you that are maybe new, my opinion is everything matters. You want to look at the whole system. And the first thing that I look at is the news because it is the most influential. And I'm still trying to do some research to really prove that to you. I've found one study that kind of says that I think we can do better. Yeah, that's just my opinion, and I call it a theory. That's my theory. Actually, the theory has a name, but I haven't told you guys what it is. I'm waiting when we get to 5,000 subscribers, then I will make the video about the whole system and the way that I see it at this time. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Uzi Knesset says you'd think with a 95% failure rate the
Right.
retail crowd would shift that behavior, but nope. Social media has the same impact on traders that it does on anyone else. It makes them
Some
potatoes.
Well, this is the thing is that uh, they're all saying the same stuff. And a lot of the things that they say and that are popular are things that I know for a fact don't work. Like I've back tested it in every way that I can possibly think about. And the way that they say to do it, and it's straight up what they're suggesting is false. Man, I wonder if there's some news maybe lurking out there because it's been ticking around interestingly. Anyways, I mean my position is not only do you need to look at everything, but that retail traders ignore news, and that is the most significant factor behind why they don't do very well.
Luis Alarid says you analyze the news and trade, I analyze you and trade, am I crazy? Gary Rich says yes, we are all crazy. We have to be because we want to trade markets.
Okay.
I know I'm nuts to want to do this, and get punished by it. I'll all aboard the crazy train, leaving the station choo-choo.
I don't think you're nuts. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a love and drive to do something that's hard, even if you lose money doing it. Somebody's got to do it.
Sam T says WB also lost 200 to 300 meters by buying Irish banks in 2008. Chump change for Berkshire. Snowflake, if it flops, is nothing for Berkshire. It's like $100,000 trader losing 10
The
cents.
snowflake thing was like, what?
Troubleshooters says in that context, Jesse Livermore would be the most opined person in stock history.
Well, so here's the unpopular opinion about Jesse Livermore. Jesse Livermore wasn't a profitable trader. He made his fortune and blew it like 6 times, and then he killed himself. When I look at Jesse Livermore's life and the things that he says in his memoir book that I guess it was based on his life or whatever, but that he didn't actually write, that sounds to me like the struggles of trading with technical analysis. You'll find something and it works and you get really good at it and it works really well and you swing big so you make a ton of money off of it, and then everybody else figures out what's going on and it stops working. So then you go and you find something else and you go through that pattern over and over and over again. And because you're so over leveraged the whole time, you'll just blow out every time. That's what I think happens.
Vlad Stolyarov says ya combo of things. Uzi Knesset says retail trader love their trading movies and books, especially Gordon Gekko and Wall Street, but the information is the most important thing. Part of the movie is ignored, haha.
Well, right, but that's because retail traders believe, sorry, I'm like shaking the screen here. That's because retail traders believe that they simply don't have access to that information. But that's wrong. It's in the information age, it's different. The news gets around so quickly. If you're paying for a squawk, you pretty much are getting in there close enough to be able to play in it. So at that point, it's not a matter of knowing what's going on. It's a matter of being able to interpret it correctly. And more importantly, being able to interpret it correctly when the rest of the market is wrong, which happens a lot, I am finding.
Sam T says $1 tariffs, not 10 cents, slightly smiling face. Vlad Stolyarov says ya NQ just playing with 11k level again. Vlad Stolyarov says an AAPL not helping market today to go up.
I still think they could make another move up. That move down actually did something though. So like before I was looking for the top end of this to be 33.53. It's moved down now to 33.50. That is, we could still get up to 53, but so like we're down here again. Do I want to buy it? Because I am seeing the cost basis move down, I don't want to. If I was going to take another trade, it would be short.
Gary Rich says, I wonder if Livermore would be different today with all the new technology.
I think you would have a harder time. I really do. I wonder if you would ever be able to size up. I mean, I think that there are a lot of traders today that are probably having really similar experiences to Livermore. These guys that they've like literally made, millions of dollars on options and then blow it all, right? That's happened a lot.
Troubleshooters says, I would suggest you look at Chris Camillo's website on ticker info or something in that line. He uses big data analysis to provide concrete public trends. Futures traders heaven.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things I've learned is that, especially in futures, it's a lot easier to make money if you can hold them overnight, or you're willing to hold them overnight.
Alex Dewudian says, given the cum delta is around minus 12,000, would it be wise to be looking for short position in S?
So I'm not sure because it looks to me like there's a very significant amount of longs being picked up here. Okay. But it's also ticking around and the cost basis has moved down. So, and I don't see any reason for it. So it's really hard for me to make a judgment on what it's going to actually do here. I think that, for me, for me, it's probably better since I caught one good runner. That's usually like I catch the runner and I'm up and then I quit. But, probably be better to wait for a better setup. Like one setup that might be better is if they do go and break the low of the day, then there'll probably be a lot of drama. And then we could have to start to consider that we could have a trend day down. There was one up here that I needed to address.
Plan B4 trade says, but news are not fundamentals.
Okay, so in my terminology, there are two types of data. There is technical data and fundamental data. And the difference between technical and fundamental data is the source. So technical data is all the data that comes from the exchange. Okay? Comes through the exchange through your data provider. So we're talking about volume price, essentially. That's technical data. And level 2 counts, order flow counts, that's all technical data in my opinion, because the source of it is the market. And everything else is fundamental. So in my view of things, breaking news is fundamental. Is what I think of it as. It's a fundamental data point. It's a data point of the fundamental category. Right? If it comes from off the exchange, then it's fundamental data point. That's maybe not the terminology that everybody uses, but I've thought a lot about it, and I think that for the purposes of explaining it to other people and, helping other people and everything, I think that that's the framework that makes the most sense. Well, I tell you what, I'm so glad that I just bailed on that trade when I did. I really didn't think they'd come all the way back, but I knew something was up, didn't I?
Gary Rich says yesterday's action sold off, then reversed up, failed, then hammer ass jacked it down. Rotational raids.
Well, one thing that I am noticing is that, we closed around 33.30 yesterday, right? And 33.30 was where all that crazy volume happened at. And in the overnight session, we moved higher. So it could be the case that we are actually pegged at 33.30 and that the gamma is going to move it down there. The issue I have with that thesis, though, is that if we break the low, we really have to consider that we might be having another trend day down. So then we could way overshoot and just go right through it. But then the fact that that's happening, that would make it such a possibility, kind of also makes me think that we might not do that we might not be able to break the low. Not the regular, maybe the regular session low, but not the overnight low. Could be wrong. It's a guess. That's like a wild guess.
Mahdi El Mesaudi says just why S500.
Okay, so the reason why I've been focusing more and more on S&P 500 futures is because it's an economically sensitive instrument where I have the ability to collect the information that I need to. So I really like the treasury market, but at the moment, because it's mostly being driven by global money flows, it's basically like trading a currency. And I don't really have a whole lot of edge in currencies. So that's why I've been trading the E-mini. And then the E-mini is the most liquid, right? I could trade like an individual stock, but then like you have to really know that individual stock better than anybody. And do you really have the tools, the access to the information necessary to be the expert on that company? But on the S&P 500, you can, there's lots of information to look at, to work with. So.
Troubleshooters says don't get me wrong, but anybody would agree that long-term investments provide higher ROI with lesser risk. Does that mean in a few years you would turn long-term entirely?
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I don't. So the problem with longer term investments is consistency. Okay, so that's where scalping is supposed to that's the reason for scalping. That and somebody has to do it, but I think the reason for scalping is it's supposed to be consistency. You're supposed to be able to come out with a decent amount every day. And I've been doing pretty good with that lately. Yeah, because you want to be able to pay your bills with it, essentially. So, but yes, the longer, any time that I do back tests, like earlier today, we were doing a back test, and I had set it up so like if you crossed a moving average, it would get you into a position, and then I said, well, if it gets triggered, then we don't want it to get triggered again for like 5 minutes. Only thinking about the exits and not the entries the other direction. So what ended up happening was if it got triggered by the moving average, it would go long and it would stay in it for 30 minutes, even if we were below the moving average, right? So which kept it in the trades for a long time. And so it didn't take a whole lot of trades, but it ended up being really profitable because of that, because it was in the market for a long time. That's always going to be the case. And in treasuries in particular, not treasuries, commodities in particular, if you get a certain amount of momentum, okay, commodities typically don't do that without a really good reason, right? And you can probably look at the reason and understand it and, get it to run. And so with commodities, that's why there's all these CTA strategies out there, right? Is when you're playing it on a daily basis, you've just got to wait for the right momentum and then take it and you can make money. That's how the turtle traders, I saw something the other day, and it sounds to me like that what the turtle traders were doing was a CTA strategy. Oh boy, they going to do it? They going to go for it? Awfully close. Apple is falling apart.
Vlad Stolyarov says I expected AAPL to be red.
Maybe we should open
Vlad
up and look
Stolyarov
at some
says
stocks.
T3 said something about 40 million shares needing to be sold.
Oh, really? Wonder why that is. Still some gamma? Well, they're almost to the 30. So I guess we'll see if they stop at the 30 or not.
Vlad Stolyarov says I haven't found that news myself.
Okay.
Vlad Stolyarov says but makes sense why it's down.
Sure. if they decide to go below the 3330, then I think we need to take a step back and question our analysis, right? At the same time, if we go down big today, I don't think that speaks very well for the near future, does it? Because that means that we're essentially in a new bear market. Or at least that's where we're headed. Okay, so what did I say? Oh, yeah. So first of all, when is Tesla Battery Day? I've been hearing about that. They're all expecting something really big on Battery Day. It's 22nd. So Tuesday.
Vlad Stolyarov says Tuesday next week.
Okay. Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, I really think that Tesla is overvalued. Why are they not coming back sooner? Because everything else that should be getting them out has happened. And then I realized, they're holding out for Battery Day. But let's see how much they've moved today. Oh, looks like they're actually up today. Still, even after that. We are seeing VIX rise, so we'd have to see VIX make a new high before we'd be panicked. You can see there they really plunged it down there, but they look like they're balancing back out, and they may hold the 30. Probably they would have to break those lows a couple more times to be able to like at the point of control of the day is going to end up being 33.30, then that the low of the day can't be 33.27, can it? What about so come down here? Oh, why is it not saving when I change these around?
Vlad Stolyarov says 3,320 next if 3,330 don't come back, I think.
Well, from yesterday, it goes down to 26. I don't know. I'm just going to let it go. I kind of feel
Vlad Stolyarov says train is picking up speed.
Yeah. I kind of feel like we've already sat through a lot of pretty ugly selling action, and that if we really wanted to sell it, it should have been somewhere around 40. But, like they were saying, I didn't really have a very good setup. So that was below the overnight. So I kind of thought, if they break that, then we could get a good trade. But now I'm realizing there was not a whole lot in it, was there? Because of that 30, I kind of question. So look at the size there at 28. I don't know if you saw that quickly enough, but there was some thousands traded in there. Oh yeah, Apple. You think Apple will break 100?
Troubleshooter says, at what point would you say you've made enough money trading? Cuss greed and fear as the philosophy of the stock market.
I don't think of it that way. I don't know. I think of it as I like trading and I just want to be as good and consistent at it as possible. So, of course, I do want to size up a little bit. I want to make. I've played around with multiple contracts, and you can really mess yourself up with multiple contracts. Let's just say. So I've kind of been limiting when I actually do that. But at some point, I'd like to size up. But I don't sit and think about it like, oh, I want to make X much and all this. I'm way more focused on what are the stats that I got to hit. Like, what is the win rate that I've got to be catching to be able to, and how big are my winners compared to my losers? I've been doing a really good job lately of my winners being more than 2 times my losers. So that says to me that the edge the technical edge that I wrote that, kind of tries to simulate where people will stop out and everything is being effective. But it's not very useful right now. We're kind of in no man's land right now. Let's close the stocks. We don't need that anymore. And it does take up processor cycles. My legs are bouncing. Sorry if that's making... Oh, that must... Yeah, it makes a little bit of a noise. You know what it is? I got bit by something on my ankle. I think it was just a mosquito, but like I got 2 bites there, and one of them is really bad. It's like swelling up. I'm wondering if it's like a spider bite or something. It's turned really red today. It's just so bad, and I just want to itch it. I haven't touched it. Haven't touched it yet this morning.
Gary Rich says print out and read every day. One of the best, not the best. Ed Seikoda.
Copy that link. I don't know who that is.
Vlad Stolyarov says let's go up now. Vlad Stolyarov says or flush. Troubleshooters says where's his lightsaber?
Do I have to watch the whole video to get all of the quotes? Does it come in like a book memoir or something? Well, I'll watch it later, I guess. Today's Friday. You know what I need to be thinking about is I'm going to barbecue this weekend. I think I want to smoke fish. That's what I want. I want some smoked salmon. They're going to go again? Nope. There we go. Only if you stop.
Plan B4 Trade says you should be thinking about pina coladas.
Pina coladas. That was my wife's favorite snow
Vlad
cone
Stolyarov
flavor.
says NQ ending its downtrend soon, I hope.
Well, I still see a lot of longs on this thing. Like I'm actually kind of thinking that I would still want to go long. It's a rough move up though. I don't know. It's a hard trade to take. I just don't. I feel like I did pretty good today, and I don't want to waste it. What's Donald Trump tweeting now?
Vlad Stolyarov says I think longs got in the way of the downtrain too soon.
Might be. Mini Mike Bloomberg.
Vlad Stolyarov says otherwise it wouldn't sell off so bad.
Yeah.
Mahdi El Mesaudi says it's Friday.
Okay, wait. Let's read Trump here. Mini Mike Bloomberg, after making a total fool of himself as he got badly beaten by Pocahontas and the Democrats in the primaries, is at it again. He tried to buy an election and went away with a major case of depression. Now he's throwing money at the Dems looking for a job. What? Okay, I don't know if that makes sense, but whatever. I think they got to push it down a little bit more still. 25, let's say. Now, if they started breaking yesterday's lows, then I'm like, okay, wait a second, what's going on? But that's all the way down at 33.10. Anyways, I think that that's a pretty good analysis slot. That like we got a bounce, and the buyers did pretty good. but they didn't get the price. They didn't get the upside that they needed. And so they all bailed. And then the sell continued. Right. And what happened to us is we were, we got out early. I guess that was a technical edge that got us out, but maybe a little bit of luck involved there. Hold on a second. Somebody messaging me on Facebook. I'll deal with that later. Thought maybe it was my wife, but it was not. Uh-oh, Nancy Pelosi tweets, "Tune in as I speak with reporters live at the U.S. Capitol," and she's got a Twitter broadcast link. Oh, she's talking. Crazy Nancy's talking. Mike's keyboard. Wow, Chewy is short from 33.57? No way. Oh man.
Block by.
I've missed a lot of stuff in Discord this morning because I was looking at the interest rates channel and not the ES channel. Okay. Well, it's not letting me view the press conference. Too many people. Twitter's overloaded. Well, that's going to make me think twice about ever using Periscope. Seems like they're moving around a lot. She must be saying something. Okay, so now we're getting the clicky again. So I could see a couple of guys in Discord chat are thinking that it's going to continue down by like quite a bit, and I don't know if that's going to be. Oh, you guys said a bunch of things I didn't even like see what they were. What's this?
Troubleshooters says Biden is just too soft to take on the current geopolitical situation. End of story. Trump wins, our market would skyrocket. Biden wins and it tanks.
At least short term, probably, yeah. I mean, nobody actually thinks that Biden would actually be president if he won, right? I'm sure that he would find a Secretary of State that was very good and would take care of all of it. So this soft ban of TikTok, it really did happen. Scoop. Deciding factor in the White House's soft ban of TikTok scuttling, at least for now, the Oracle JV appears to be Attorney General Barr, who argued the deal was not a true sell since the Chinese controlled the company because it controlled the algorithm. I am told. Story developing. Gotcha. Because the Chinese could still choose it to influence United States elections and so forth, even though they might not be collecting the data. I think that's the point they're making. So download TikTok now, because you won't be able to get it after that. Will Apple remove it? Will they remove it from your device if they remove it from the store? It's a soft ban. That means that if we have it on our phones, we can still watch. Well, I'm just gonna have to live it up because I think TikTok is so fun. The problem with TikTok though is I'm not very good at making content for TikTok. I need to come up with better skits for them. I don't like any bands. So here's the issue that I have with TikTok. Anytime that I think of the kind of content that I think would do really well on TikTok, I think it's too arrogant. So there's one meme on TikTok that I love because there's this song. It's like and at the beginning they're like, yeah, I love it. And so it's always like the meme at the beginning was like a girl would just be standing there in her regular clothes. And then when the drop would come, she would change clothes and you would see how badass she was. That's the meme, right? So then somebody made a version of it where it was like a little kid singing it. So then the meme turned into, here's these people that think they're really badass, but this is what they're really like, sort of a thing. And I think it's so funny. And usually it's done with cute animals. It's like, oh, when I got a Doberman, this is what I thought it would be like. Like, this is a really badass dog, but then they turned out to be a complete derp. So I'm always thinking of it like, okay, this is trading. Here's a Dom. There's ice is moving around really quickly. It's super cool. And then what do Robin Hood traders actually get? Confetti on the screen and all this. And I'm like, okay, I don't think anybody would like that because they're all Robin Hood traders. So this is my dilemma. I do make some videos that are like, oh, here's kind of what's going on, which is stuff that probably you already catch if you're watching the stream. But yeah, you need your average watch time to be higher than the time of the video. So they have to watch it twice. So probably there needs to be something about the movement and everything that's more entertaining. Oh, it's clicky still. They're doing the thing here. They're doing the thing here. They're doing the thing again. Well, when they did this yesterday, it bounced up really hard and so there could still be some movement, but 3330 is, yeah.
Vlad Stolyarov says they lagging the buyers with sell orders.
How do I tell these guys in Discord? Hmm. I mean, the president is going to be doing a press conference later and everything, but yeah, I don't think that we should be expecting too much. I think
Vlad Stolyarov says another thing was more corona fear in Europe in morning news.
that's I didn't even think about that, Vlad, but you're right. I did see stories there, and I guess I kind of dismissed it, but in the UK they were talking about another lockdown, another 2-week lockdown in the UK.
Gary Rich says make TikTok videos you like, not what others might. Example, dip the rabbit in paint, toss against canvas, then sell the art online. Funny and money making, best of both worlds.
Would that actually work? I don't know if that would actually work. Isn't that animal abuse? I don't think the bunny would like being dipped in paint, Gary. He's been doing okay though. Yeah. Well, that is the way that I do it. I make a lot of videos there. One of the ones that I do the most that never does well is like I'll see something on TikTok and I'll complain about it. Like the one that I was seeing the other day is TikTok was trying to show me a lot of stuff about men are toxic. Look, they're harassing these women online, and I'm like, it's not because they're men, guys. It's because people on the internet suck, right? Like anybody that's popular on the internet gets harassed, whether they're male or female. It's awful. It is awful. Mm,
Gary Rich says yes.
But I also want to be popular on TikTok.
Gary
So
Rich
I'm one
says it
going
will work. Vlad Stolyarov says I wanna buy this dip so bad.
Me too, Vlad.
Vlad Stolyarov says but zero bounce.
I want to buy it, but I think that the opportunity is gone.
Gary Rich says I've seen elephants paint and make money.
Well, that's an elephant.
Vlad Stolyarov says option expiration just messing W price.
Oh, hold on. Let me type this thing here. I'll leave you guys on read here. So there they went.
Vlad Stolyarov says no Wevexy is trying to go above VWAP, maybe they start panicking him. Gary Rich says be creative, the process will be funny, a bunny painting is funny. Who cares if others say it's cruel, it's not like you boiled the rabbit afterwards and ate it.
past. Most of the opportunity is probably past. Should I say past P-A-S-T or past P-A-S-S-E-D? I think either is correct, right? Huh. News Squawk, don't worry, the 50-day moving average will hold. And he shows a picture of a lock, but the lock is a Cheeto, so there's no way that will hold. Okay, wait, where is the moving average? Oh yeah, there's no way that's what it's way back up at 33.42. Be creative. The process will be funny. A bunny painting is funny. Who cares if others say it's cruel? It's not like you boiled the rabbit afterwards and ate it. No. But like really, and washing rabbits don't like to be washed. And if you wash a rabbit and it gets too cold, it can be dangerous for them. You don't really bathe them. So I don't know if that's such a good idea. Don't know if that's such a good idea. We could have the bunny do stuff though. We could have the bunny do some predictions for us. Yeah. We'll do it. I'll make a video. Oh, they do it as a YouTube video and should be fun. Oh, no, wait. Maybe not. I'll wait till the kids are around. Because I don't think the kids are going to be around.
Says reminds me of last Friday.
Wanted to do another technical analysis of video, but then when I started going into it, I was like, oh, this is like, there's actually still a lot more that I can go into with this. I think that doing it with a second chart is really the way that I want to test it. I think that that would be more effective to what people want, but I don't know. There's issues with it. There's what I'm finding, or well, I guess I kind of always knew this. I bet you that somebody has this in a book trading book, like writing algorithms book sort of a thing, where they really explain this. But like a moving average is really works better as a filter, because you kind of get this spot where it goes across the average many times. So you get this threshold problem where, you know, I want it to go across the threshold and then it will, but then it'll go back over it again. And so you get in and out like 20 times and that ruins the strategy. So you have to have like a trigger and then, you know, there's better. So like a better trigger is that it closes above the bar, but apparently even that isn't super great. You still get a lot of really crappy trades from it. So probably, you know, that's when it's like really the trigger should be something that doesn't happen very often. And then the filter is just if we're above it or below it as to whether or not you take it or whether you take it long or short. But I digress. Primary purpose of the video was I wanted to show people the differences between the different moving averages and show them that whole moving average and super smoother were really effective. For what most traders are trying to use the moving average for, those moving averages I think are more effective, especially the super smoother. And I wanted to put it out today because last time around I put a video out on Friday, and you know it increased the views over the weekend, and I thought it was a good idea. So I think in the future I want to have a feature that I do on Fridays that people can watch on the weekend. So then I get it thinking, okay, so we don't have to do a video on Monday, but we could. So do I want to take the easy route or the hard route? So the hard route is I really want to make this guru video. But, you know, somebody has to come in and help me record it, I think. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little... the issue with the guru videos, I'm not sure if I can do it well. And you need help to do it well. The other one I could do is what are the worst mistakes that new traders make? That one would be great clickbait too. Biggest beginning trader mistakes. Maybe I should do that one. I don't know. Because I have to ask my dad and see what he's doing this weekend because I think that he could help me record it. I have to do some acting.
Vlad Stolyarov
I
says
admit-
they buy on green days, sell on red days.
Euro close flush should pump soon. They all
Vlad
think it's
Stolyarov
going to
says
go
they
one
buy
way or
on news,
another.
sell after news.
And this is the other thing. So we got about 5 minutes left. I might have to, because I'm finding that the guys, those of you that talk in YouTube chat and those of you that talk in Discord chat, it's like two different groups of people. I think that you guys here in YouTube chat understand it, but for those of you that don't, I would just give you a piece of advice, something that a lot of newer traders don't understand and learn from experience, but the best trades happen early. The longer on the action goes, often the harder it is to make money. Because the good traders, they made their money, they're like, I got what I need, and they leave. And so the more this goes on, especially if there's hedging at 33.30 and they're trying to peg them there, it's just going to be a chop fest around 33.30. It's not very good trading. Yeah, more volatility in the morning and the last hour. Exactly. So once the London close happens here, I have no interest in taking trades, especially on a Friday. Hey, you know what I'm doing? Well, I'm going to go work, actually, because I have another job. But if I didn't have another job, you know what I would be doing? I'd be going somewhere. I would be like, hun, we don't have the other kids. It's just a baby. Let's go in the mountains or, like, get out. Long week, stressful week. Made money. Leave early. The desk traders are going to leave early. Pina coladas, yes. We're doing that. That's what we're doing today, hun. Do you hear that, Melissa? We're getting pina coladas. I just still think, I haven't thought about it for a while, but I still kind of want to do the ice cream. Sorry, the snow cone shack. I've been looking at the business. The downside of the business is that you have to man the booth. So I have to pay kids to sit in the booth and make ice, snow cones. And probably that would be our kids, and they won't want to do it. So then we'll end up doing a lot of work. So it'll be a lot of work. That's the downside of it. The upside, though, is it's actually a really profitable business with a really high profit margin. And it works pretty good in Utah, too. I should get a snow cone shack. It would be nice if I had somebody else to go into it, like another family that wanted a snow cone shack as badly as we do, to kind of share the burden. 4 kids, it's not enough. NQ denied again. I don't know, guys. There's a lot of volume starting to trade at 33.30. Market Year says Trump is good for spending. I bet you. I don't even have to look at that chart. Yep. Oh, look. Donald Trump spent a lot of money. It's trading at yesterday's POC so far. Yeah. So I knew when we're coming in, remember I said that we had all of that crazy hedging activity at a certain price, and it's um quad witching day, so I don't expect a whole lot. But what I didn't realize, the mistake that I made, was not realizing that that point of control was at 33.30 and that we were significantly above that overnight. I really didn't realize how high up we had moved. So, and of course, what they do first thing, just made a drive to 33.30. Actually, kind of came back a little bit too much. Like in retrospect, that trade that I took that was long probably wasn't too smart, really. In retrospect, even though it worked out.
Gary Rich says lol snow cone shack. Better off selling drugs to kids, low margins and lots of kids. Lol LMAO.
You want high margins, right? You don't realize like though you're making like an 80% profit on every snow cone you make. And people love them and you sell a lot of them. Like I'm finding out that like in the summer you make like $10,000 a day or something like that. Like for something that I want to be a side gig, it's a pretty good income. I don't know if it would be something that I would want to live off of, but it's a pretty good side gig. It's a pretty good side gig. I want side gigs. You know what, though? I need side gigs that involve more people. I think that's one of my problems right now. Like with the YouTube is great. Not that we really make a whole lot of money from the YouTube, but I do everything, you know? And what I would really like is something that's more like where I want employees. I want people to be together with me in the journey of having a small business, you know? Besides just me and my wife. And really honestly just me, because I guess my wife could help with the channel, but she's like, hey, you could edit videos. She's not interested. See, I think there's still another chance they could extend the range a little bit, but it looks like they've really found labor intensive seasonal doesn't sound great. I don't know if I would call it labor intensive, but yeah, there's downside. Like I said, you have to work the booth. That sucks. Seasonal, yeah, that's okay. But the thing is if you spend like $10,000 building the booth, right? It's not like that's the thing that's so great about it is that the return on investment is really good, basically. Selling the machines though, leaving the dream. My wife would love to just have an industrial snow cone machine that shaves the ice really fine. That's what she likes. Yeah, I don't know. I think of some other business ideas maybe that could involve more people. Okay, it's past 9:30. It's time for me to get going. So I don't know if I'll actually make a video this week. Maybe I'll make one, but I won't put it out this week. But do have some time to record. I should take advantage of it. Okay, so I'll see you guys on Monday. Don't lose too much money this afternoon, please. Stay profitable.